Hello students, in today class we will study about operand forwarding. Okay. In the previous class, we have seen that the data hazard arises because one instruction depends on another instruction, or data dependency occurs. Okay, here I have explained this figure. So that means I2 is waiting for data to be written in the register file. In write stage we will write it in a register. Okay, so D2 will wait up to this write operation completed. Okay. So however, these data are available at the output of the ALU once the execution stage completes step this I1. Okay. So it means after the execution stage completed, the result is available at the output of the ALU. Okay, it means this execution is done in the ALU. So to reduce this delay or to eliminate, if we arrange for the result of I1 to be forwarded directly to this E2, okay, that means after the execution it will not write this in the register file. If it will directly go to the execution stage of I2, then we can perform E2 operation here. Okay, we can perform E2 operation here. So there will be no delay for I2, also for I3, also for I4. Okay, so this forwarding is called as operand forwarding. Here we are forwarding the source operands from one instruction to another. Okay, so let's see how. This is the this is the diagram. Okay, forwarding data path diagram. Okay, so let me explain it. Okay, so it shows a part of processor data path involving the ALU and the register files. This arrangement is similar to the 3-bus structure, as I have told you before. Okay, single bus structure and 3-bus structure, bus A, bus B, bus C, like this. Okay, so only difference is that there are some registers like this: source 1, source 2, and result. Okay, only these three is added. Otherwise, this diagram is similar to a 3-bus structure diagram. These registers constitute interstage buffers needed for pipeline operation. These three works as an interstage buffer. Okay, because interstage buffers are basically used between two units, either phased unit, decode unit, execution unit, like this. In the hardware organization, we have already seen it. Let me explain it. Here is another diagram. It is the position of source and result registers in a processor pipeline. Okay, that means the register source 1 and source 2 are the part of buffer 1. Okay, sorry, I have written it wrongly. Source 1, source 2, the result of buffer 2, and because before this is fetch unit and this is 2. Sorry, it is decode unit. Here is decode unit. It is B2, and here it is B3. Okay, so B3. The data forwarding mechanism is provided by the these lines. This. Okay, so if this is if from this resultant register will forward to again the execution unit, then I2 will not have to wait for one clock cycle. Okay. So it is the position of source register 1, source register 2, and result register. Okay, here is our decode unit, and before that we have fetch unit. We will not go to that. We have problem in this execution part and write part. Okay. So these registers are placed in this buffer. Okay. So this is the diagram of where we have to place these registers. Let's go to that path diagram. Okay, so here, okay, so the two multiplexers connected at the inputs to the ALU allow the data on the destination bus to be selected instead of the content of either the SSC1 or SSC2. Here it is the destination, it is the source 1, it is the source 2. To the bus it flows. Okay, then what will happen? Okay. When the instructions are executed in the data path, well, okay, when these instructions are executed through this data path, then the operations performed in each clock cycle are as follows. Okay, let me explain it. After decoding instruction I2, okay, I will explain it by using these two diagrams. Okay, so the after decoding the instruction I2, the detecting the data dependency, when you detect that data dependency will occur, then the decision is made to use data forwarding concept. So the operand is not involved in the dependency. Register R2, here this register R2 is read and loaded in the register SSC1, actually source 1, and okay, in clock cycle 3, this clock cycle 3. In the next clock cycle, the product produced by instruction I1 is available in register result. Okay, after this, in the ALU, I have here, okay, here after execution, this will be loaded into the result before going to the write stage. Forward connection, it can be used in step E2 immediately. So hence execution of I2 proceeds without interruption. It is no stall for one clock cycle. It can easily get the data from that forwarding path from the resultant result register to the execution unit again through this forwarding path. Okay, hence without going to the write operation, we can continue the E2 stage immediately after the stage D2. Okay, here we don't have to go through these situations. Okay, as R4 is loaded in register, it will not go to the this W1. Before that, it will be forwarded back to the E2 stage. Okay. So in this way we can solve the problem of data hazard. The solution is your operand forwarding. The operand which is the reason of data dependency due to which data hazard occurs, only that operand will be forwarded, not all operands. Okay, thank you.